Hi everyone, my name is Brittani B.A. Franc and I am an indie author. I own an online bookstore that specializes in surprise book dates as well as indie titles, and I am a serial hobby collector. Currently I'm working on my second novel, which is going by the title of Project Magic, and it is a monolith. This is a never-ending story at this point, but honestly, I am having the most fun writing it. So today I actually wanted to talk a little bit about something that has recently, or not recently, it's caught my interest for a while now, but it has recently come back up into my mind, and that is the personal curriculum. So this is something that I have noticed popping up on my feed recently that is really gaining some popularity, especially in the YouTube space. And like I said, it's something that I have been interested in for quite some time. For the past couple of years, I have been toying with the idea of going back to school to possibly get my master's. I think it would be really wonderful to do something like that. However, as a serial hobby collector and as a polymath, it's difficult for me to land on any one thing, especially for the course of a couple of years. Like, what if I pick the wrong thing? I have so many interests, and what if I happen to pick the one that I get bored with after a few weeks? I actually remember as a child, I used to love setting up school for, all of my stuffed animals and getting them all together, getting their classes worked out, where their schedules were, what little friends that my stuffed animals would be making. However, it would always fall apart around the time that I had to plan the curriculum. I would get so overwhelmed with that aspect of it. Lesson planning was just really, really challenging. With the whole idea of possibly getting my master's, I did think that how cool would it be if instead of, going back to school, if I started and set my own curriculum. And then, like I said, I've been seeing these videos pop up on YouTube recently about other people who are doing something very similar, and it finally all kind of clicked and started to make a lot more sense for me, especially because I really like the idea of setting a curriculum for a set couple of weeks just to see what everything is like, if I'm liking the subject that I've picked, and then if I don't, being able to kind of abandon it and move on to the next subject that interests me after a few weeks. I really particularly enjoyed Olivia Unplugged's take on the personal curriculum, in which she suggests picking 2 to 3 subjects for a given amount of time, whether that's a week, a month, a season, or a year, and choosing one that is skill-based, so something like knitting, one that is knowledge-based, so something like learning plant identification, and a total wild card, so anything that delights you. And I really loved that. I loved that. I felt like it was very well-rounded, and so I'm going to be following Olivia's advice and doing exactly that. Because I have so many interests, some of which would honestly require more than just a couple of weeks to dive into, whereas others, I think that I'm only interested, at least right now, in getting a surface level knowledge of them. That could change. I have been known to fall down a spiral of rabbit holes and what have you with things that really capture my interest. So because of all that, I actually was a bit extra and created an entire course catalog for myself so that I could, pick and choose which subjects were interesting to me each time I go, each time a season, which is what I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do my classes based on seasons, so every 3 months. So every time a season ends, I'll have this course catalog to shop for classes, which I think is what we used to do in college. It's at least what's portrayed in the media, shopping for classes, especially your first round. I am excited about this, and I had a lot of fun putting this together, and I even went so far as to write a little bit of description for each of the classes. I have a list right here of all the classes that I'm really excited about, and I have written the list of descriptions. This is what I'm going to refer to each time I need to pick a new round of classes. And like I said, some of them are continuations, so it helps me get an idea of what I can expect in the next edition of a class. So for example, I'm taking taking Spanish, intro to Spanish now, and then in the future I want to advance that. So what does that look like to me? I needed to write all that down. Like, what does the next step after intro to Spanish look like? What am I going to be learning in that class, or potentially learning, and what is my ultimate goal once I reach advanced Spanish? Honestly, the ultimate goal is to be able to speak or at least read Spanish. And I do expect that as time moves forward, I'm going to be adding more ideas to this list and, things that capture my interest. In fact, since writing this list, I already have added some more courses that I want to take, including, like, this is so random, but the history/cultural significance of the show Charmed, because I have access to a channel on our Plex that shows like live stream of Charmed episodes, and I'm just so curious, like, why was this such a big thing? Anyway, I plan to begin my first quarter. I'm doing them as quarters because I went to SCAD and that's what we called them, but I think it works out because it's like seasonally, the year broken up into 4 seasons, starting May 1st, which is just in a few days. Right now it is April 29th, so in 2 days time I will be starting all of my courses. I'm going to be starting with, like I said, intro to Spanish, intro to drawing, and then the anatomy of a film. I'm really excited about all of these. I do have a background in art and Spanish, so I did take like 4 years of Spanish in high school, but that was eons ago. And then I did take 3 years of art classes at SCAD and eons ago. So I'm just trying to like refresh myself and get back to basics and try and see where it is that I actually am at with all of that. So I already wound up going around my house and finding all of the notebooks that, like, blank notebooks that I had, and basically labeling them with the courses. So I have like my Spanish notebook, sketch notebook, and my anatomy of a film notebook, and inside I have kind of like listed out the course curriculum that I'm expecting to undertake for each of them. Right now you might be saying, like, this seems like a lot of prep work. Honestly, you do not have to do all this. I just really like to plan. And you might also be like, Brittany, don't you run like a full-time business, and aren't you writing a full-length novel right now? Like, how are you going to fit all this extra work into it? Where are you going to find the time? And don't you have a life to live? And the answer to all of that is yes. To which I'd say, yes, absolutely, all of that is true, but I don't plan on taking like a full 20-hour course load. I'm talking like this is actual college, which is so much fun. It's making me really excited. Instead, I'm looking to turn this more into like an opportunity as far as shifting what it is that I'm doing that I don't currently like. So I have some habits where if I have 10, 15 minutes, instead of doing something that I'm actually interested in and that will progress my knowledge forward, my skills forward, things like that, I wound up wasting it scrolling social media or watching a television show for the umpteenth time without actually engaging with it. So this whole experiment is really to kind of break those bad habits and bring me back to what's most important to me and find a little bit more joy and creativity and excitement in these things that I already find exciting. Now that I have a plan in place, it's time to kind of like get all of the supplies together. Hi, baby girl. She's such a sweetie. Look at her. She absolutely loves hanging out with me every morning. So for Spanish, I already have this workbook that I actually purchased last year because I really wanted to get into Spanish last year and I just never found the time to do so. It has all of these exercises and I think that they increase in difficulty. I do plan on going to the library to check out children's books that are in Spanish or like some Spanish-English hybrid, and bringing those home to not only read, but to try and translate as well. I plan on going to the library and checking out books that are specific to drawing techniques, but I'm narrowing that focus even more and only going for books that I'm interested in, like the subject matter. So I am particularly drawn to nature-based art, and so That's primarily what I'm going to be checking out. I'm not going to be checking out, how to draw, I don't know, trains or, animals. Like I love animals, but I think that I'm more interested in drawing botanicals and buildings for some reason. I really like the straight lines of buildings. So I think that those are the two that I'm really going to focus on for now, and then I'll see what happens. I also am really excited because just like in school, at least grade school, I am planning like field trips for myself. So with art, I have at least one field trip planned where I'm going to go to either a museum, a gallery, an art market, and just look at art. I think that that's going to be so much fun. I did look up potential books for how to analyze film, but I didn't find any. So I'm not getting any of those from the library, but I did find some YouTube tutorials on other people analyzing films or like how to analyze films. So I'm going to, again, that's going to be my guest lecture series for that class. I'm going to watch those, and then depending on which films I watch, I will also go and seek out other people who have analyzed that film just to see if we came to similar conclusions or if they're looking at things that I didn't even know to look for. I think that that's it for now. I am, like I said, so excited about this, and I do plan on coming back in about a month to let you all know how everything's going. So this is past Brittany, I guess, signing off, and I'm gonna go grab some books from the library this week and get started in literally just 2 days time. Just 2 days, I'm going to be starting on my personal curriculum. I'd love to know in the comments below if you are interested in doing your own kind of, he's shedding so much, and doing your own kind of like personal curriculum, or if you've ever thought of it or thought of going back to school. Like, I'd love to know. I will be back. Future Brittany will be here in like just a few minutes time. So I'll see you soon. All right, so it is officially the first day of my personal curriculum, and tell me why I chose May 1st. I mean, I know why, but tell me why I chose a Friday for my first day for schooling when I never planned anything for Fridays. I literally have everything planned for Monday through Thursday and the weekends. For today, I am going to actually be gardening for most of the day. However, I will make sure that I put in time for sketching, my 30-day challenge, because I can do that every single day. And so I'm gonna do that. And then I think I'm also going to like set the lesson plan for next week for myself. I think that that's something that I'm missing right now. And I kind of have an overarching idea of what it is that I wanna do for this first month, first week, first quarter, but I don't have it like in bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to look into doing that this afternoon so that I can really make sure that I'm scheduling things for myself and making sure that I have the time and I'm not overburdening myself with these things, because this is supposed to be fun. I'm supposed to be learning and enjoying myself, and it shouldn't be getting in the way of other things that are going on in my life. It should complement it. So yeah, that's what I think I'm going to do for today and the rest of this week, and I'll check back in a little bit. Good morning. I have been working on my personal curriculum for just a couple of days now, and I thought that I would pop in with a little update. So this weekend I wound up starting with the drawing exercises from one of my books, which was the 10-Minute Botanicals book, and I have really been enjoying that. However, I didn't realize when I got the book that it actually had a coloring in component, and I specifically didn't want to focus on any kind of color work for this particular class because I'm really trying to get the foundation back as far as my drawing goes. And I already know that I struggle with color because I struggle with seeing value in color. So I'm kind of wanting to progress from drawing into black and white color, like so shadow, pencil work, maybe something like that, maybe even paint. And then eventually when I'm ready, dive into color again. I even have a whole course planned for watercolor because that's the medium that I really love. And then I also wound up starting my film studies class, which was super fun, and I've already learned a lot from it. So we watched Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa, and it was really interesting. However, I'm finding that studying film is so broad. You can do so many different things with it and study so many different aspects of it. And when I was watching Seven Samurai, I thought that it was very interesting. I watched a couple of videos on how other people have analyzed it just to kind of get an idea of analyzing film and like what perspective they were coming from. And I realized watching those that what they were watching for is not what I'm watching for right now. So I think that classics such as Seven Samurai and all those really cool films from like the 1950s, 60s are going to be really amazing for me to watch in regards to seeing the place and time that they were filmed, how they've impacted cinema throughout the years, and the different techniques that were used pre-CGI, pre-like computer programs, all the things that are more realistic effects instead of special effects, special effects as we know them. I think that that's going to be really cool to watch or to analyze, but that's actually not what I'm interested in doing right now. So I think I'm going to add this as an additional class for myself in the future. But right now, as I was watching Seven Samurai, I really realized that the kinds of films that I want to watch are centered around the film structure itself. So I want to see classics of our time that have endured, that people watch again and again and again, and analyze why we watch them. Why are we drawn to the same films over and over again, year after year? And how was the story structured? What themes are prevalent in those stories? And what symbolism is sprinkled throughout, if there is any? Watching color films, what kinds of colors are intentionally used or not used? All those kinds of things I am interested in right now. However, I will go back and do an additional film study course. And then today I am actually starting Spanish class, and I'm actually most nervous about this one. I think just because I have a lot of perfectionism and I feel really dumb when I'm unable to properly speak a different language. I've tried many times and I always just get so tongue-tied and so nervous about saying the wrong thing and being perceived as incorrect. And I think that that's going to bring up, studying Spanish is going to bring up all of these feelings, which is not necessarily super fun for me, but I am excited to dive in and see what I remember. So I am going to be working through a workbook. I'm going to do chapter 1. Hopefully it's only like 9 or 10 pages long, but there are exercises, so who knows how long it'll take. This is kind of like me just testing the waters. So this first week is really the experiment to see if it actually all fits into my schedule properly without me being stressed. Yeah, today's going to be the real challenge with Spanish. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I hope that it goes decently. I'm going to work on the workbook, the first chapter. There's exercises, and I think that there's even answers in the back of the workbook, so I get to see in real time how bad I am or how good I am. So yeah, fingers crossed that I can get a decent amount. And then I just keep remembering something that a college professor told me, and it has stuck with me ever since. He said that we actually learn more from our mistakes because they are more permanently into our brains. And I assume, knowing what I know about psychology, is that that's because of the negativity bias that we all carry around. And just when we make mistakes, we really do remember, because in the wild, making a mistake could lead to death. So our brains are hardwired to recognize when we've messed up. I just need to remind myself that messing up is actually probably a better thing than accidentally getting everything right. If a two-syllable word has a written accent that does not affect the pronunciation, it means that there's a C, give, C, yes. How am I going to remember this?
Bring me into golden sunlight. If I'm going with you, I know we'll get
So I just finished my first Spanish lesson, first chapter, and the preface, whatever you call it. And I'm gonna need note cards. I need note cards for sure, just because vocab, I keep messing it up. All right, so it is around 3:00 in the afternoon on the first Thursday of my personal curriculum. And as you can see, I am in bed, in my pajamas. I have just gotten out of a bath. Today doesn't look like it is going to be a day in which I actually get much done as far as my personal curriculum goes, and that's okay. You know, it's just one of those days. I'm not getting a lot of writing done either, or garden work, or any work done, really. It's just like one of those days where I woke up and immediately wanted to be in bed for the whole day. And I did read some. I am reading my friend Taylor's arc, which is coming out in August of this year, hopefully. And that's about all the work that I've done today. I did start editing some videos, but honestly, nothing else was really... It's just one of those days, you guys. It's just one of those days. And instead of trying to push through, this is the whole reason that I didn't do it intentionally, but I'm really glad that I accidentally left Fridays free of anything, because life happens, things happen, and we can't always adhere to the most perfect schedule. With that extra day, I have gifted myself the ability to listen to my body and heed whatever it's asking of me, which for today means taking a bath, which I hardly ever do. My muscles were I have a really bad shoulder pain, and it helped that. I had super bad congestion from allergies. It helped that. And I'm already feeling so much better, but I'm not looking to dive right into work right now. I am going to cuddle up in bed. I'm going to pop on a movie. I may or may not try to look at it through the lens of my personal curriculum. If it happens, awesome. I have my catch-all notebook here where I will put notes in it if they come to me. But otherwise, I'm just going to relax, and maybe later tonight after dinner, more energy will come back, and then I can get to work. But even if I'm not able to, that's okay. Like, my productivity does not equal me or my worth, and this is just a lesson in that. So that's the only reason why I popped in here today, to say that as far as the rest of personal curriculum has been going, Spanish has gone pretty well. I do need some flashcards just to try and remember some of the vocab. A lot of the worksheets are actually I'm remembering them. So I actually think that what's going to be easiest for me in Spanish is going to be learning to read Spanish much more quickly than I learn to speak it, because I can take as much time as I want with the words, instead of in like a real life conversation where I'm just like, oh my gosh, this person's talking really fast and I've only caught 3 words, and then I have to try and like translate in my head and then speak words back, and then, going back and forth. So I think that reading will be my first major goal. If I can read an adult book in Spanish and translate the majority of it, I will feel like I've won, I don't know, at life. Drawing is going pretty well as well. And I've just been doing my daily sketches, and, they've been really nice and easy. So I'm really glad that I picked drawing as one of my 3 classes, because it is the least strenuous. And then film, like I said in the last section, I think think I came in. I think past Brittany recorded something that was talking about where I'm trying to go with film. But anyway, I think that what I said in that last section was where I was heading for film wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And so I'm going to course correct. And that's kind of been fun too, you know, learning what it is that I'm actually looking for from these classes. So I'm off to go cuddle in this bed right here underneath this. This is my favorite blanket. For those who don't know, I actually made this blanket. It's one of the few quilting things that I've ever done, and each square was hand dyed using plant material from our garden. So this quilt is a very special quilt to me, and I want to make so many more, but it just takes so long. Anyway, I'm gonna go cuddle under that and watch a movie and maybe work on film study stuff. Even though today's not the day for that. Today is another Spanish day, but I know I am not doing any more worksheets or workbook work today. And yeah, we'll see how the rest of the month goes. We're trying this again. I have literally, oh my gosh. Okay, I'm having a bad day, you guys. I'm having a bad day, and this kind of plays perfectly into why I failed at my personal curriculum, right? So I have a lav mic, and it is deciding randomly not to work in some videos, and I literally recorded like 15 minutes of footage today, which I wouldn't use all of it, but it didn't work. It didn't work, and I don't know why. It just is deciding to work and not work sometimes. So I'm gonna try and enunciate and just use my camera's mic for the time being. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys are seeing it first here, me unraveling. Now that I'm done ranting. What I wanted to say was I have decided to stop my personal curriculum. And the reason for that is, like today, having to re-record something that I already recorded and spent lots of time on. I just don't have the time. I really was excited and enthusiastic about diving into this personal curriculum. Like I said at the beginning of the month, it is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, several years in fact. And I've been talking to my husband a lot about this because we've been rewatching Gilmore Girls, which I don't know, I have a lot of thoughts on Gilmore Girls. I've watched it plenty of times, and my feelings about the show have changed drastically throughout the years. However, we are at the part where Rory is entering Yale, and so my husband is making lots of comments about, oh, do you remember when all we had to worry about was study and nothing else in life, because, you know, we're adults now and there's lots of worries. Each time I have to give him a side eye because he forgets that I did not have the quintessential college experience. I worked the entirety of my college experience. I was working multiple jobs to pay for everything that I needed because I didn't live on campus. I was trying to, you know, save as much money as possible, so much so that I graduated a year early so that I wouldn't have to take out an extra year of loans. And so I just look at my college time filled with a lot of remorse, regret, a little bit of regret in there. I feel like I didn't get what people got as far as like what is portrayed in the media, what is portrayed in television shows and movies. And so it makes me really sad that I didn't get that. And I think that's why I was very interested in doing the personal curriculum. However, life be lifing, as we can tell with this freaking lav mic, and things just don't always work out as much as we want them to. So this is me calling it quits on the personal curriculum for the time being. Again, as much as I really love the idea of it, and I was really enjoying the classes that I was taking, and I did all this prep work for it, I found that each day that I have free time after doing all of the outdoor work or doing all of my writing, which are courses in and of themselves, like they are basically master classes in their respective manners, I just find that I want to relax. I don't want to be forcing myself into something. And with the classwork, it did feel as if I was forcing myself to do these things, even though I'm really interested in them. It wasn't feeling fun. And so I found myself avoiding them, found myself going down like social media rabbit holes or just trying to do something else that didn't take a lot of brain power. Because yeah, writing a story, writing my novel right now is taking up all of my mental capacity. It's a lot. And then there's just a lot of stuff everywhere. Like I haven't even had time to take a shower today. I mean, I don't remember the last time I took a shower, and that's bad. I need to go and take one, and I just haven't had time. I totally could have just not posted this video at all, and that would have been fine. You know, nobody would have known that I was doing this personal curriculum thing, especially after the lav mic failure. I definitely should have scrapped it. However, I think it's really important to share when we are intentionally quitting something that we love, because I think it reduces the amount of shame that maybe other people feel. I know that I feel a lot of shame around my idea hopping. I get distracted by shiny objects and I want to do all of these different things and try all these different things. And then I feel really horrible about not following through on all of them or struggling to push myself to follow through. So it's just like a lose-lose no matter what. Like I lose if I push myself into doing something that I don't actually enjoy. I lose if I quit because I feel as if people are judging me. And so I thought that by posting this, by sharing that I was really excited about this project, but unfortunately it's not working out and I have to press pause. I have to quit for now, that, you know, it takes a little of that stigma away, and not just for myself, but maybe for anyone else who has tried these personal curriculums, tried to fit them into their lifestyles and found that it's just not possible, at least not right now. Yeah, to say that I'm disappointed is like an understatement. I feel like a very heavy heart right now, and that's probably to do with a lot of other things, but I really am sad to have to put this away for now. But one positive is I do think I will come back to this. I do believe that I will make my way back to a personal curriculum when the time is right. Right now, that is not the time. It is summer. There is a lot going on. I have a lot of projects in and around the house. I have a lot of projects with my writing, and it's just like, I don't even know what I was thinking. I was so excited. I think I just let that blind me for a second. I think that I will come back to this in the fall though, or maybe the late winter, like around January, February. That always seems to be a time in which I have lots of spare time. All of the holiday season shopping is done, so my bookshop is like pretty quiet. It's just more of a putting a pin in it and learning to be okay with that, which is so against my nature. I hate it. I'm an Aries and I really like to dive in headfirst. I like to finish things. I don't know. There's a lot of feelings. There's a lot of feelings going on. So I'm gonna end it there before I start wallowing in self-pity or anything like that. And just remind everyone that if you have to quit a project that you really love, it's okay. Know that it will still be there for you when you come back, when the time is right. And don't be too hard on yourself. Like life really be lifing sometimes, and it sucks. Feel that suckiness, like let it sink into your soul a little bit. And then I guess we have to all get up and move on, you know, keep going in the direction that we can and doing the best that we can. And I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. My hair is really distracting me. I just want to go wash it so badly. So I think I'm going to end here because I'm getting distracted. And yes, thank you so much for joining me on this experiment, even if it was a failed experiment for the time being. And if you enjoy my wackiness, please feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment of your own wackiness. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Bye. Ow. Let me try that again. Bye.